I gowned up, and I didn't have any idea what was going to be going on, or how I was going to react to anything. And so he made an incision in the belly, and I saw the blood pooling in the incision, and then I felt very sweaty and faint. And fortunately, I said I had to lie down before I fell. I lay down on the floor in that procedure room. They were all very nice to me and didn't make fun of me, which was good. And I laid there for pretty much the whole procedure, 4 hours. I don't remember how long, but something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt okay, but I took off my hat and it was dripping wet.
Yeah.
Right. And I felt okay lying down, but a little embarrassed, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were encouraging, this happens, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't know what I was going to do with all that. And then they had me come back, oddly enough, another day. And then I don't know if there's anything else that I did, but anyway, I remember feeling a little bit better during the procedure. And then at one point we had to put a drain in or do something. We had to make a stab wound in the abdominal wall. Mm-hmm. And so he handed me the knife. He said, "Here, just make, poke a hole through." And it was a transformative moment. Yes, I appreciate you helping me remember this. I mean, it's not that I've ever forgotten it, but thinking about what happened, I kind of wasn't thinking about it a lot. But he handed me the knife, and I didn't have any idea whether I could do that or whether I'd freak out or whether I'd pass out again or something. But it was transformative. I felt totally fine doing it. Made this hole in the belly. Obviously, a tiny little nothing procedure. Yeah. But what I perceived, right or wrong, was that by being the surgeon and doing something rather than just watching, it's a very different interaction. And I have thought of it as like if you're watching, it's easy to sympathize with what's happening. I feel like it could be happening to me. Not that you think it is, but it's easy to sympathize like that. But by holding the scalpel and doing something, it's kind of like I'm doing something to another being. So it's obviously not me. And somehow it just it gave me a sense of calm and comfort to do that. So that was helpful. And then I did a little bit more with them. It wasn't really a lot, and I don't even know what they found out, but obviously nobody does much with economies anymore. Yeah. It doesn't really matter, but it was an exposure to medicine. Again, after that, I still did. It wasn't like totally convinced I wanted to do all that, but that was one other exposure that was important. And so I think I was talking about then, like doing this plastic surgery rotation.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and it was just again because it was a family friend, and it was a great group. So the group is still there. I think that they may have changed a bit. I mean, they haven't changed most of the people, but at the time it was this plastic surgery group. I think it was called Plastic Surgery Associates or something like that. Like a lot of the things, like a lot of the groups there, it was a private practice group. Eastern Virginia Medical School was in existence but hadn't been there a long time. And they had an appointment at the medical school, but they really existed primarily as a private practice group. But they had world-class people there, some of the people that were really key developers of free flaps and stuff worked there. People that did urologic plastic surgery that were world-class. And then this woman, Julia Terzis, who I worked with, T-E-R-Z-I-S.
Can you spell her name?
Yeah, T-E-R-Z-I-S.
Thank you.
And she was a character, and I could tell stories about her that rivaled those of Babiston. It's like 5'2", stocky, just kind of solid, stocky, short blonde hair, piercing blue eyes, and not much patience. And she had gotten an MD, PhD, had gone to McGill for a PhD. I think maybe it's a medical school too. I can't remember. And had studied studied nerve reconstruction basically. So that's what I did with her, and she pioneered a lot of things in nerve reconstruction. And she would take on cases that were crazy, with at the time anyway, with avulsions of the brachial plexus or sacral plexus, and do 12-hour operations fixing these things, and muscle transfers and nerve repairs and graftings and stuff like that. And I got involved with so that's basically summer I kind of shadowed her. But I also got involved in a research project that I ended up doing through the rest of medical school when I had time, which was paramount. That was studying the microanatomy of the brachial plexus, the serial section of the plexus, and led to publication, which is nice, and presentation at the American Society of the Hand, something like that, in New Orleans. So that was fun. But I did, the research and that, but she arranged to get me cadavers, fresh cadavers, which was great for doing those dissections. I did like 25 of them or something. That was the experience that convinced me I wanted to be a surgeon, that I was excited about being in medicine and wanted to be a surgeon, because I shadowed her, so I'd go to the operating room with her, but also if she was on call, I would run around with her, and literally running was the right answer. We got called to see somebody one day who was over in the hospital, in what was the Norfolk General Hospital now, and the patient was like on the 8th floor, and so we moved quickly, as she always did. She was like shorter than I am, stocky. And I don't make it. She wasn't like fat. She was just like a muscle. And we go to the elevator. So I pushed the button for her to enter the elevator. And she's like, "Come on!" And she ran up the steps. The notion that we'd wait for the elevator. So running up the steps, and we go see this patient. And I don't remember if it was this particular one, but one of the patients we saw was somebody who, if I remember right, had tried to commit suicide with cutting his wrist with razor blades, whatever. And so he'd done, what happens, obviously, cut tendons and median nerves and stuff like that. And so he had those things reconstructed, and apparently had, again, I'm going to forget exactly, but he had some return. That's right. So he had function of his thumb. Then I want to quote this because maybe it was function of the thumb, but persistent numbness of the palm of his hand. And he had been treated at Harvard, actually. So I had people that were really good. They sent him down to her because they didn't know what to do, because their sense was that if the thumb was working, the median nerve must be partially intact. And to go in and cut the median nerve and redo the reconstruction would be bad thing to do, just to get sensation back. They were worried about it, and of course I didn't know anything about all this. So she just, and back then we were seeing the patient in the hospital, not in the clinic, but for sure. Anyway, maybe I'm wrong, but anyway, we saw the patient, and she just very quickly said, "Oh yeah, there's a variant where you can have a separate nerve that goes to supply the motor functions of the thumb, and so obviously what's happening here is that's the case, and the median nerve is totally out, so it's safe to repair, to redo the median nerve repair," which she did. And so, that, if you're an expert, maybe that's not that odd a thing, but I was impressed. I thought I liked the notion of being so good at what you do that you know all the details that lots of other experts don't know. And so that she'd be a referral, she'd get things referred to her to take care of, if she knew all the details. And that continued to be the case with a lot of things that I did with her. So that was interesting. And I also liked being with her in the clinic where there'd be a problem and she would say, "We're going to fix it." The notion that that's what surgery is, right? That you see somebody, there's a problem, and you fix it, and you do a definitive fix. And so all that was very appealing to me, and so I was very convinced after that experience that I wanted to go into surgery. I thought I wanted to go into plastic surgery, do nerve reconstruction, of course, because that's what she did. And that was still the way I was thinking all along the way. Feel free to interrupt me, because I'll talk through what happened. Then I went to, I finished, finishing medical school and then thinking about where to go. And I talked to my advisor, who suggested, a number of places that I could look, thinking about academic surgery. And